Hello, hello, hello. This is Adrienne Bergen. This is the Ageless Traveler. And today we cover 5 seminal aspects of ageless travel. One of them is solo travel with safety. Another one is culture vulturing. Let's go to Malta and see everything there is to see and eat everything there is to eat. How about creativity? When was the last time you really played or did something just because? Well, there are retreats in Umbria and Greece we'll be talking about so that you can fuel your curiosity and inspire your creativity. How about a little bit more self-confidence? Well, we'll go outdoors with a true adventurer, and you'll see what happened to him when he really faced his fears and transformed his life. And finally, as you always ask for, we will voluntour. In this case, we're going to South Africa for babies in the bush so that we can make the next stage of our life the best stage of our life. For those of us whose spirit in us wants to travel alone, there's no better guide than Pamela Holt. So thank you so much for being with us today, Pamela.
Thank you, Adrienne. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, this is a great pleasure. And as I said to you really before the show, I want to delve really deeply into your advice. You have a great backstory. We're going to cover it. Your mom, who's 83, she travels. You have really guided her into traveling solo. She's probably been your inspiration as well. But for our folks, we need to know very quickly, if we have never traveled by ourselves and we desire to do that, either because we've lost a companion and we know it's time to get out there, or because we have that spirit of adventure and want to do it ourselves, what would be some of the advice you'd give us to really make that happen?
Well, I think for the first-time solo traveler who's intimidated by the word solo, which for so many people, they equate it with being alone. And I've redefined it. And I think this mindset shift will really help people. I've redefined solo to an acronym, SOLO, Seeking Out Life's Opportunities. And that is for anybody at any age. And knowing that mindset, going into solo traveling as a first-time solo traveler with, I am here to seek out life's opportunities, can really change things for people. It's how it sort of sits in you versus, oh gosh, I'm traveling alone this year. And so I think that mind shift will really help people. And also it takes away a lot of the fear that people feel about traveling solo. And the other thing is when you're seeking out life's opportunities, your circle as a solo traveler is really open to meeting other people. And honestly, I find it hard not to meet people when I solo travel. I put on a smile and that conveys the openness and the willingness to meet people and chat with people and share experiences and stories with other travelers immediately.
And what I think you're saying is alone is not lonely. So, when we say solo, many people are very intimidated even to take their first tour by themselves. But in your case, you really are traveling by yourself. So I have 2 questions. One, are you really alone? Because many of the things you do get photographed. This is a wonderful show. So there's got to be some crew around you. I'd like to discuss that. So how alone are you when you're doing this?
Well, I love that you asked me that question. I actually traveled totally solo for 7.5 weeks. I then went back and retraced my steps with a camera crew. So to answer your question, the experiences that you're seeing on camera, I already went through those experiences once, except for a few things that popped up while we were there. I already walked the walk because I wanted to experience all those locations as a solo traveler before I talked about them, shared them, and encouraged people to reach out and try that experience.
Well, that is actually a service, a wonderful service, and really leads me to the second question, and that is safety. When we talk about solo travel, I have to admit to you guys, and I mean you guys, that I don't think of guys. I'm thinking of all the millions of women who are now traveling solo. It is a big trend. There's no doubt in the tourism industry, and it's mostly women. Have you found safety issues? And if so, how have you made sure that you stay safe?
Yeah. In 93 countries and territories, I have run into safety issues, but I pack my wits. There are safety issues in Los Angeles, in New York. I haven't run into anything that was outside the scope of just a city, being in a city. I pack my wits. I address safety by being very cognizant, by being aware, knowing where I'm going, knowing what I'm doing, and really listening to my gut. That we were all born with that instinct. And it's important for females to listen to it. So if I were to give one piece of advice, there are 1,000 websites online that can teach you about safety as a solo traveler. But what so many of them don't talk about is pack your wits and trust your gut. Two things that we were given for free when we were born. And I think ultimately they are the most important. I always ask people like, hey, do you go to a grocery store by yourself? Well, certainly I do. Well, there are women in these other cities that are going to grocery stores by themselves or going to the cafe or the theater or wherever they're going to. And it's just a matter of being cognizant and aware of your surroundings.
You know, the fact is, I'm not afraid. People ask me, are you ever afraid? And I go into a lot of countries that have risk associated with them. I'm not afraid because I was born in Brooklyn. My awareness level is way up there. I can feel it. I can actually feel it. So I make a joke. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to learn a little bit of the language before I go. What are you going to learn? Oh, I'm going to learn where's the menu? How do I pay the check? Where's the bathroom? I say, no, the first thing you should learn is don't even think about it. That's the first thing in every language. I can say, don't even think about it. So that's Brooklyn for you.
Do you know what I do? Actually, whenever I'm speaking about solo travel, I always tell women, if you think somebody's following you, I whip around. I give them the like tough mom look, and I whip around and I just stare them down and I say, how you doing? Because that how you doing? Oh, it conveys a lot.
I learned this from a very wonderful woman named Dorothy Schreiber. She spoke 8 languages. She looked like Ingrid Bergman, for those of you who remember that great actress. And she was about 6'2". And we would go throughout Manhattan in a very bad time in Manhattan. When people were stealing chains from your neck, they would just go. And she would turn around, just what you said. And simply in her big German accent say, don't even think about it. And people would run. People in hoodies would just be scattered throughout. They would go. So, yeah, I learned that you could do that. And I'm only 5 feet tall. And they still run away. You know, if you're from the inner city like I am, you're born with armor. But the fact is, we call it fierce. Just be fierce. So don't you guys go anywhere. And we'll let you know also about our Facebook salon so that you never feel that loneliness and connect through travel. Don't go anywhere. One of the things that we are committed to at the Ageless Traveler is that you know each other, you greet each other, and you share with each other. And there's one way to do it. Join our Facebook salon. We call it a salon because we have the most incredible conversations together. How do you do it? Very simple. You go to agelesstraveler.com. That's it, agelesstraveler.com. And right on the first page, it will say, join our salon. How wonderful to be able to meet with like-minded people, ask questions and get them answered. And perhaps you've got information for others. Do you recognize that anthem? Well, it's the national anthem of Malta. And this is Adrienne Berg, host of The Ageless Traveler, bringing you a very special show about a very special island in the Mediterranean. We are talking about Malta. It's a place that I have been multiple times in multiple ways and always had the same wonderful experience. Malta is in the forefront. It is as trendy as they get. That's why I wanted to talk with Robyn Pratt, who's the general manager of one of the stellar hotels in Malta, a place you can spend a month, a week, but you can also use it as a destination if you simply are on a cruise and it's one of your ports. Thank you so much, Robyn, for being with us today.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Really, really, very, very happy to join you.
Now, a lot of people don't know exactly where Malta is, but they've seen it. You know why? Because it's one of the locations where they shoot a lot of films and TV and Netflix, like the Game of Thrones and Assassin's Creed. So you may know it more than you think you do. But tell us, Robyn, where is Malta?
Malta is in the Mediterranean. It is around about an hour's flight from Rome. It is quite close to Tunisia and Libya. So you've got a touch of Africa and Italy. We're very close, accessible to Sicily, a ferry ride away to Sicily. So, yeah, we're really a great location. And in fact, when you get into the Maltese history, a very strategic location in the Mediterranean waters.
I was there just about a month ago because the Mediterranean cruises that take you around to Sicily generally do go to Malta now. There was a time that was not the case. So it's more accessible than ever on a port, a plane, and so on. So tell us a little bit about some of the UNESCO sites that we'll want to visit.
Yes. Well, actually, we're on the doorstep of Valletta, which as a city, the whole city is a UNESCO site. So as you enter the gates of Valletta, you can really wander along the very narrow streets. It's beautiful, those beautiful windows and buildings that are extremely quaint. And whatever little narrow street you go down, there's always something to see. But then we have the Mdina, which is one of the oldest cities in the world, around 20 minutes away from Valletta and our hotel. You have some of the oldest temples in the world. Some people don't realize that there's such history in Malta, but we've got the Hagia Kym temple, and that's only about 25 minutes away by car. And then there's the island of Gozo, which has got a lot of different sites there, beautiful churches. Malta is a very Catholic island. In fact, there's 365 churches. So There is so much to see.
Well, I'll tell you, I was in Gozo for quite a while ago, and I was with my daughter, and this I wanted to explain to everyone. My daughter was probably the age of most of the people listening's grandchildren. She was 6. I now have a 6-year-old granddaughter. I would say if I was going to do a grandmother trip right now, that's where I would go. One of the things that is hardly ever mentioned about Malta, and I want to bring it up, is it's terrific for children. These UNESCO sites, like fairy tales, you really have to be able to picture it. And I promise you, you're going to see pictures of all of this at agelesstraveler.com. Aside from being very child-friendly, you can learn to ride horses, particularly in Gozo. And my daughter did. It was a wonderful experience, and she became an equestrian for the rest of her life. There are so many things, not only for adults, but for family and intergenerational. So, yeah. Now, you mentioned Valletta, and you said, you can see so many things. Let me tell you something. You could also eat a lot. So tell us a little bit about the food choices, because it's very eclectic.
Yes, it is. In fact, when we moved here around 14 years ago, in Valletta, there was hardly anything to eat or bars. But in the last 6 or 7 years, it has evolved. And in fact, Malta now has 6 Michelin restaurants across the island. We have a 2-star Michelin at the Iniala Ion restaurant, which is in Valletta. But then you can go and you can have the best pasta, because being on the very near to Sicily, we have a lot of Sicilians have come in and opened these different restaurants around the island. And as you said, the choice, whether it's Asian, whether it's Sicilian, whether it's pasta, whether it's Maltese, which the Maltese love their rabbit. There is something for everyone. I have a nice pasta, or I'm going to grab a pizza or a salad one. And that's what I love about it, is just being able to wander and sort of choose what cuisine you're going to have today or tonight.
All right, we're going to take a little break, but I want to introduce the Fianisce Hotel to everybody. And when we come back, we're going to take a deeper dive into how to use a hotel if you're in a port, and specifically the Fianisce. So the Fianisce Hotel is in a perfect location. I have to tell you that I looked you up on every single thing like TripAdvisor and, book every place that they have reviews. So aside from the whole hotel being a 10, just about everywhere, when you read the comments, what everybody says is location. And you mentioned location. So you can actually walk there. There's an elevator you can get from the port. You can drive there, and it's a 10-minute walk, by the way. It's got 7 private acres of gardens. If you did stay, you could have a view of the sea. There's no doubt about that. But you could also go and eat. And the cuisine is very upscale. So when we come back, we're going to talk about your spa, which I enjoyed. And my husband, who does not go near a spa, he fell asleep. He was so relaxed. So you guys, if you want to really hear what it means to have a 5+ star hotel, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Please come with us. We're going with the very famous Holt Tours, one of the oldest tour operators in the United States. They know us, they respect us, and they provide for us everything that we need. Yes, we are going to Kenya. We will see the city of Nairobi. We're going to the Serengeti. We will see the Big Five. We will also have adventures of a lifetime. If you have been studying safari, or even if you have gone on many safaris, this is something really different. So how do you find out about it and get your special discounts because you're an ageless traveler? Very simple. Go to agelesstraveler.com. That's our website, agelesstraveler.com. Take a look at featured trips. Get the details by clicking right there. You can do everything from inquire, get your question answered, to book right away so that you're going with us. It is a terrific, terrific tour. And by the way, you can also go to the Masai Mara on an optional pre-trip tour. There's a lot more to it than that because there's yet more opportunity if you have longed to trek with the gorillas in Uganda. Yep, we can make that happen too. So please take a look at agelesstraveler.com, featured travel, and go on safari with us. And now we are back, and we're speaking with Robyn Pratt. She's the general manager of the 5+ star hotel in Malta. We've been talking about the importance of really diversifying your trips. We've been talking about that lately. And Malta is one of the great locations. You can fly there very quickly from any country in Europe easily. I had the privilege of, for the, I think, third time, being in Malta on a port day. And I wanted to see what it would be like to use that day to go to a hotel, something I rarely do. And I did it, and it was one of the best port days I've ever had at the Phoenicia. So when I got there, one of the things I learned about the place, in addition to its beauty and gardens and view, is that it's age-friendly. And one of the things that's very age-friendly is its spa. So here with Robyn Pratt, she's the general manager. Robyn, just tell us a little bit about that spa because it's very unusual.
It certainly is. In fact, we opened it during COVID, but it was actually, obviously it's quite newly developed. But when we were excavating, we had the plans and we were excavating. And as I said, Malta and our hotel is on the doorstep to a UNESCO site. And the excavators started sort of hitting something. They said, this shouldn't be here. So they called in the historians who came in and found that they had hit a wall that dates back to the fortifications of the Knights of St. John, so thousands of years ago. So the owner had to quickly redesign the spa to incorporate this amazing wall. And this wall now we've made a feature of the hotel and of the spa. And, we tell the story of this. And I think, I believe that the beautiful sense of relaxation that people get when they're in the spa is because it is part of history. There's part of history there in that spa. We've had to spend a lot of time and money in ensuring that we have the right level of humidity because that wall has been underground for thousands of years. So all of a sudden it's above ground. So we have to keep the right air temperatures and really have taken a lot of pride in developing the right treatments and really creating this haven of relaxation that, as you said, when you walk in, you just do feel that. And I believe this link to history is a big reason why.
Yes. So let me explain how we structured our port day, because I think it's very appropriate. It was almost a fluke, and yet it's probably the best port day I've had. And I can tell you I've been on hundreds and hundreds of port days in the past 65 years that I've been traveling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So First of all, the hotel is very accessible. It's easy to get to. It's beautiful. We did start there because of when the ship docked. It was almost lunchtime. Now, if it's earlier, you would do exactly the opposite of what I'm telling you in terms of what did you do first. And you're absolutely right. This spa is nothing like anything else in the world. It was where my husband had a beautiful chair in front of this wall after a massage that he really did deeply sleep. We've been in lithium pools. We've been in all kinds of things, and there's never been this level of relaxation. It has to be just the vibe of the beauty of it. It does have a salt room. You've got all of these usual facial and other things that you would get in any spa. There's brand new ideas for aesthetics. If you do want to get your face a little bit tighter, which I liked. So, and I do want to tell everybody, don't listen to this, Robyn. This is not for you. Allow your mind to wander. It's very inexpensive because I don't want her to raise the price. It's very inexpensive compared to the UK or the US. I was very surprised to see the prices. All right, now you can start listening again, Robyn.
Okay.
So anyway, so don't be afraid because it's a beautiful place. And you say, oh, I can't afford it. No, be surprised. So that's great. And it really made a huge difference. So that's what we did first. And then we had our lunch. And then we went to Valletta. And even from Valletta, we went over to another area which you can go by boat. And it's a little boat. You paid, I think, €5. Take a little boat across.
Yeah, the three cities, Vittoriosa, Sanglia, and Cospicua. They're really beautiful. Yeah.
They are very, very beautiful. And we walked in and walked in and walked. So, and then it was not difficult to take the little boat back and then get back to the port in time. You know, for many years, I had a radio call-in show, almost about 20 years. I'm very used to hearing your questions and answering them. And if I can't do that, I have a battalion of experts who can. Do you have questions about travel, about volunteering, perhaps just about volunteering, or even your next step in life after retirement? Well, if you have those questions, please ask Adrienne. Very simple to do it. Go to fanlist.com/agelesstraveler. That's fanlist.com/agelesstraveler. You'll see it in the show notes. And ask me by text, by voicemail. It's free. We will get back to you. And if we get enough questions, we'll start to live stream and you'll be able to ask me on the air. fanlist.com/agelesstraveler. Hello, hello, hello. This is Adrienne Bergen. This is the Ageless Traveler. And today we are kicking off a new series called Travel Bros. Yeah, it is wonderful that most of the people over 60 that are traveling are women. Terrific, no problem. But what about the guys? And so this is more unusual than our usual series, which we generally have 3 or 4 podcasts in a row. I hope to never end this series of Travel Bros. But most important, as Mary Poppins says, is well begun is half done. And so we are going to begin very well. We're beginning with Don Mankin. Now, he is a real seasoned traveler. In fact, National Geographic, Riding the Hula-Hula to the Arctic Ocean, a guide to 50 extraordinary adventures for the seasoned traveler, is his book. He's also a travel writer. He has many, many travel outlets. And, of course, he's an adventurer in his own right. So thank you so much, Don, for being with us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Well, you know, we do talk about travel. We talk about ageless travel. You talk about the seasoned traveler. But when the marketing companies look at it, they're looking at women. They're forgetting an entirely important demographic. So how much travel have you actually done in your life? I think it's a lot.
For many years, I was a professor and then a dean. And then I would travel. So most of my traveling was confined to a summer break. But then I left that, about 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And that's when I started seriously traveling and seriously writing about my travel. Since then, I do sometimes as many as 6 significant major trips per year. So I've been doing a lot of travel. I spend, I would say, 1 night out of 3 or 1 night out of 4 on the road. We just did a trip by ourselves to Australia and New Zealand, including a 1-week self-drive through Tasmania, which I wrote about. We just got back from a group trip on a converted tugboat in the Great Bear Rainforest of northern coastal British Columbia. So it was us and I think 3 or 4 other couples on the boat. And we've done larger groups, adventure cruises like a river cruise, small boat cruises. Like a few years ago, I did a road trip to the American Southwest with my grandnephew, who was 24 years old.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, blew his mind, absolutely blew his mind. He lives in Florida, never seen anything at all like the Grand Canyon and the rest of the American Southwest.
So let's unpack some of this.
Well, boy, that's a challenge. So it was Australia and New Zealand. Packing is always a challenge. Like I said, I've been doing this for years, many trips, and packing is always somewhat anxiety provoking because you're always concerned that you're going to miss something critical. And I do, even now, like I arrived in Vancouver on this last trip and I realized I didn't pack enough medication to last me through the trip. A real rookie mistake. I actually worked around it. And that's another story for you if you're interested. Always overpack. I do not follow Rick Steves about packing light. For me, I pack for the conditions. I want to make sure I have the gear that I need for the trip. I want to make sure that I have dry clothes if I need it. And so that means I'm not packing light. I mean, I'm packing up to the limit. One suitcase in a backpack. That's my limit. But within those 2 things, I fill them up.
Yes. Now, before we take a little break, and I'm actually going to talk about luggage free, which is a way to get your luggage to a hotel or an itinerary without schlepping it yourself. We'll talk about that in a minute. I must get back to your comment about your workaround when it came to forgetting your pills. How did you work around it? Because that is pretty devastating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, so we were in a hotel in Vancouver, and the next day we were taking a flight to British Columbia, which was the starting point for this trip in British Columbia. And so I discovered this the night before when I took my evening meds, and I said, oh, my God, I only got meds here for 3 days rather than a full week. So I got up early in the morning, couldn't sleep because I was anxious. I went down to the front desk and I asked the receptionist, if there was a drugstore, close by. And he said there was a 24-hour drugstore that was about a mile away, and that he was sure that they would be able to work something out to get me the temporary meds to cover the trip. So I took an Uber over. They're all set up for it. You have to download an app, and you use the app with a physician who goes over the meds that you need, asking for proof. So you need to show a copy of the prescription, either the bottles, which of course I didn't have, but I was able to get online and get a copy of it. In about an hour, I was able to get a 5-day supply of all the meds that I needed. It cost a bit of money, but I was set. I was set for the rest of the trip. So it was aggravating and a little bit expensive, but I was able to do it.
We're going to take a little bit of a break, and during that break, I'm going to tell you about luggage free. So you guys, don't you go anywhere. If you take long trips or travel through different climate zones the way I do, you don't want to schlep a lot of luggage. Well, luggage free ships to many of the hotels in the world and mostly all the cruise ships. I've been recommending luggage free for years to my friends and family, and I always hear the best rave reviews. So you visit agelesstraveler.com products and services to access luggage free, get all the information, and stop schlepping. So we are back now, and you are packing heavy or light or however you want, or you're sending your luggage ahead. You're going on your great adventure. Where should you go? Well, Don Mankin, who is our guest today, has written a book all about it with a very intriguing title. National Geographic's Riding the Hula-Hula to the Arctic Ocean. So first, you're going to have to unpack that title for us. What exactly does it mean, Don?
Okay, so the Hula-Hula is a river runs from the Brooks Range in Alaska to the Arctic Ocean. It was named by 2 Hawaiian whalers who got stuck in the ice in the 19th century. And they were there the whole winter, and they were homesick, so they named the river the Hula-Hula. So that's how the name came about. So what you do is you fly into the Brooks Range. It's a rafting trip. And for 11 days, we rode from the Brooks Range down through the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to the coast, Arctic Ocean, and then off the coast there was a gravel island where we ended up and camped for one night, and then a plane came in and picked us up. Now, this was a pretty big deal because right before this trip, I got some scary medical news, and I was in the middle of doing tests to find out what was going on, but the results from the tests were not going to get back in time for me to take this trip. So I didn't, I was really distracted. So I wanted to cancel the trip, but my doctor and my wife both said, the doctor said, there isn't anything that these results could come back that would have any bearing on this trip whatsoever. And, my wife said, go on the trip. So I went on the trip, somewhat anxious about, these test results. And I got on the trip, and maybe the second night out, I walked up a ridge overlooking the camp. We camped right by the river, and I'm overlooking the camp. And, the scenery is just spectacular. And it's an Arctic summer night. So it was 3:00 in the morning. It was still light outside. And I'm looking, and I could see a grizzly bear walking on a ridge opposite, across the river. And, and I'm just looking around, and I said, oh, yeah, that's what I remember. I have some medical tests that are a source of some anxiety. And I said, and this is a stupid thing. I said, I wonder, but I'm not feeling anxious about it. I wonder, can I make myself anxious? I mean, this is stupid. And I actually started to probe a little bit, and nothing happened. I was fine. And of course I stopped. I mean, I sort of realized, how dumb that was. But I stopped, and I realized I was completely in the moment, and it was one of those Zen moments where I was the reality and everything else was something else. And it completely transformed my whole perspective on the trip, and to a certain extent transformed my perspective on travel in general and how do you deal with being in the moment, blocking out what's going on, back in what's called the real world. But, when you're on that trip, the real world is where you're at. Yes. And so that's why I called it riding. I mean, it was a real sort of adventure. And the book, so that's the title. The title was based upon that trip. The book includes 50 trips. They're all adventure trips for the most part, ranging from cycling trips in Tuscany, kayaking trips in the Canadian North, just all kinds of trips like that. Half of them were written by me, and half of them were contributed by other people, including my co-author, who also wrote several chapters. So that's the book. It's basically adventure travel and all over the world, everywhere in the world, including Antarctica.
I have to piggyback on something you said, Don, from my own experience. I have been criticized, and I just said something about this on YouTube, for catering to people who love to travel. And many people, including yesterday, someone said to me, why are you spending your time on this? You're a lawyer, you're a broadcaster, you could really talk about the issues of aging and poor people and food and all this. And there is a reason. There is a reason. And that reason is I have never felt so alive. And I don't think anybody else feels so alive.
Exactly.
When they are traveling. It is transformative. And if I can create materials that sponsors want to pay for and bring that to scholarships and let people who cannot travel for the first time, or caregivers travel when they had put that aside in their life, I think it's a real contribution to aging. I really do. I see it in you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In fact, the whole notion of transformative travel is one that I've been very interested in pretty much from the beginning. And I even work with several colleagues. There's a Transformative Travel Council of travel professionals who are sort of into the idea of a transformative travel. And I know it transformed my life. I mean, I went from an anxious kid growing up in Philadelphia whose the only travel I did back then was to take the subway downtown to go to a jazz club.
You're right.
And I did a lot of that. That was pretty cool. And then I started, traveling, and I started pushing the envelope a little bit, doing things that are, more and more challenging. And my whole self-image changed. I mean, I am not the guy that I was when I was, 16 years old growing up in Philadelphia. And I think a lot of it, I mean, it's not just from travel. I mean, it's from a lot of other things as well. But I think travel, especially the adventure travel where you're pushing the envelope a little bit, you're physically and psychologically challenging yourself a little bit. And I think that it made me a different person.
In our next segment, I introduce you to Next Tribe and founder Jeannie Ralston. Next Tribe is an organization that takes people all over the world on special retreats to really spark their creativity. Creativity does increase as we age. So sit back, enjoy tales of Umbria and Greece, and join Next Tribe.
Well, right now we just finished a retreat in Umbria in Italy, and it was all around creativity. As we get older, it's typical to lose your sense of play. As children, whatever we play, we make something just to make something. It doesn't need to have a point or.
You don't have to sell it. You don't have to go on Etsy.
Right. A friend of mine has this amazing villa on the hilltop in Umbria. Condé Nast Traveler nominated as one of the most Instagrammable places, villas or houses to stay in the world. And we stay there and we have creativity sessions in this 13th century chapel that's been beautifully redone. And we take time, we go see Assisi, we see Perugia, different parts of the region. But those excursions from the villa are kind of to let the environment charge up our creativity. So it's all based on creativity and finding that in yourself again, whether you knew it was there or not, because everybody is creative in some sense. We just think it's important to be able to, at this age, to just say, used to do this, let's try this again, or to really plug into that part of yourself. And so we do that, and then we are actually doing a fall one in Umbria again, where we, in addition to doing some creativity work, we're going to be harvesting olives and going truffle hunting and that kind of thing. So it's a little different, but it's in the same gorgeous setting. And then we're doing a awe and wonder retreat on the island of Idra in Greece. And Idra is where Sophia Loren used to hang out, and Jackie O, and it's no car.
Great wedding destination, by the way. A lot of people get married there.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Very honeymoon oriented.
So we're doing that in partnership with a group called the Nomadic School of Wonder. And that's run by one of the women who helped start Meow Wolf, if you know Meow Wolf.
I know it very well.
So she is doing the Nomadic School of Wonder. So it's working on creativity and awe and play. Women at this age, we've done a lot. We've raised families. We're starting to think more about what is it that I want to do in this phase of my life? What is this chapter of my life going to look like? And so we think these retreats, they're fun and they're good food, good wine, whatever, but they're also trying to help you find that answer to what you want this chapter in your life to look like. I should just say that one of probably the primary thing on any of these trips, whether they're, we have a mission at a retreat or not, is to have fun. That is my job. So people are going on vacation. They're going on a retreat. They're going to work on finding their own creativity. But I want to have a great time, enjoy themselves, dance and talk and just laugh.
Will. One of the things that you've told me over and over again is that your biggest barrier to travel is money. What else is new? Well, we have now affiliated and partnered with all the booking sites that you would be interested in. That's booking.com, that's hotels.com, that's Expedia, that's Guides, Get Your Guide, and of course TripAdvisor, the big one. So if you are going to be booking, you're going to want to use the links that we provide for you because there are discounts there. There's also ease and convenience. It also does something for all of us. It is true, yes, I get a small donation in the event that you book through any of these sites, but I plow it right back in so that we can have more research, more clout in the world of anti-ageism and tourism, and get you even more discounts. So please use these because it'll be good for you and it'll be good for your family. And it really puts a lot more money in your pocket and makes life easy. How do you do that? Well, you simply go to our discount page on agelesstraveler.com/discounts. You'll see that also in the show notes. So use it and never stop traveling. And today I'm going to fulfill a promise. I've been promising you to find a premier experience in voluntouring for you. And I found one. And it happens to be based in Johannesburg, Africa, a place that you have always mentioned you would like to voluntour. And we have with us the head honcho, the social entrepreneur. Her name is Lorraine Keenan, and she is the founder of Hero Holidays. And you're going to hear all about it because it is both a holiday and yet it makes you a hero. So, Lorraine, thank you so much for being with us today.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Well, let's talk about Hero Holidays. Now, Hero Holidays have programs. They are, in fact, a holiday. And I want to make this clear to everybody that you pick a number of days. You do sightseeing. There's sightseeing involved. There's meeting the people involved. There's cultural activities involved. And, of course, the overriding mission, though, is the voluntouring or the volunteering. So give us a really good deep dive into one or two of the experiences that people have. Remembering that on our show notes, you have a URL for Hero Holidays. So you can go to the website and you can read all of the many different choices that you have. But let's take two that you have maybe closest to your heart, to the experiences we could share.
Well, yes, absolutely. I'm a true believer in having fun and hard work, and play hard, work hard is my motto in life. And with that in mind, that's why I called it Hero Holidays, because yes, they are going to do some good and some work, but they're going to have a great time doing it, and that's very important. And people go away with that and loving. I love this country. I love South Africa, and I love what we have to offer the people. And that's it. One of my favorite projects is Babies in the Bush, which
What a name! Great, Babies in the Bush.
Because it's an interesting story. It's actually a daycare and baby safe house, which happens to be set in the middle of a big 5 game reserve. Now, there's a story for you, because you go to sleep listening to the sound of the lions and the roaring of the animals, but you're safe, and the farm is fenced off in the middle of the game reserve. But this is a Dinokeng game reserve, which is only an hour north of Johannesburg. And 13 years ago, I met a young lady who was running a daycare center not so far away, but her building was being demolished and she had nowhere to go. And one of the churches in the area decided they had this land, and they gave her some of this land. And we built a facility, and we have a baby safe house where we have abandoned babies, which everybody just loves playing with and having fun with and enjoying. And then we also work with the community that surrounds the game reserve, a big community of about 5,000 or 6,000 people, a lot of unemployment, but a lot of young people who had no opportunities to get education. So we set up daycare centers. So we work with 22 daycare centers in that vicinity, in that area. So the volunteer that would come, they would stay on the farm. There's also like a working farm. There's goats and there's horses and there's cattle and there's all sorts on the farm. So there's farm duties, and there's also the baby safe house. And then once or twice a week, we go into the community and we do mobile educational activities with the kids for the day. So it's a wonderful experience. You get to understand the culture of the rural South African, which you don't get in the big cities, or you don't get on your sort of package tours or such. So it's a great opportunity to meet the community and to meet the locals in a safe environment and give back.
Yes, it sounds actually one of the kinds of things become these experiences that you remember all of your life. Give us a picture, though, of the type of person who comes and volunteers, and how many volunteers might you have at the same time?
We like to keep it around 10, no more than 10 at a time, because, then they really can gel themselves. It's not such, it's a better arrangement. We can actually sleep about 20 or so, but we sometimes have some leaders in the community that come in and spend some time with us, because we are also running some training courses. We run various things like St. John's Ambulance and some health nutritional workshops. We do all sorts of different workshops with them. So we on and off we have, but 10 volunteers at a time is perfect. And we've had all age groups. We've had older people, we've had middle-aged people, we've had married people, we've had couples, we've had individual young people. We've had quite a mixture. And we had a father and son just recently, which was interesting. The father was in the 60s and the son was like 20 something. And that was really an interesting combination. And they were very handy on the farm, I can tell you, because they were good with their hands. And we kind of vet people before they arrive. Obviously, we need to do an application, and we like to put their skills to good use. Like we had a ballerina once, and she taught ballet for a whole week, which was really wonderful. We've had singers, we've had pianists, we've had wonderful people who can sew. Just recently, we had also an older woman who was, she was fabulous. She ran a textile factory way back she was from Ireland, way back in Ireland, and she was then retired now, and she was unbelievable. We had a whole load of material that was donated to us, and she oversaw and made all these blankets and all sorts of rugs for the kids and whatever. It was fabulous. So we like to put your skills to good use. If you've got a skill, we'll make you put it to good use.
Well, this is one of the reasons that I am so excited about telling you about Hero Holidays, because one of the things that we do lament, particularly after we're retired, is that we lose the ability to use our skills. Use it or lose it. So that's one thing. And for those of us who have not lost our skills, we often don't have any place to show them off. But here is not a tightly scheduled voluntour program where everybody has to do one thing because you have to fit in with a group, or you go one day to dance or read to children at a school just once for an hour. This is a place where you can really spread your wings and help with what you know how to do. And that is so valuable, not only to the people that you're helping, but I think it's more valuable to you. Before we go, I want to extend some invitations to you. The Ageless Traveler truly knocks down barriers to travel, whether it be companionship, money, or your own fears, or perhaps a little inability or mobility issues. We take care of all of it. So how do you get support from us? It's free and it's easy. Go to agelesstraveler.com. Simply subscribe to our free newsletter, Travel Tuesday. You'll get it weekly. Become a member of our Facebook group. You'll see how to do that right on the homepage at agelesstraveler.com. And of course, we have loads of friends. One of them, for example, is Beverly Glazer. She is the podcast host of Aging with Purpose and Passion. And so if you're getting a little bit down about life's purpose, tune into that particular podcast. We are really a network of people who are supporting you from the bottom up so that the next stage of your life is the best stage of your life. Never stop traveling.